Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. How's it going, guys? Taking a look at the Dockers today, and I tell you what, it could take me till about April or May, I don't even know, to get through these previews. It has been an absolute slog, but we're looking at the Dockers, and I usually do these club previews as like the start of my preseason thing, and smash them out by mid-Jan, late Jan. It's early Feb, and I'm not even halfway through. So I sort of said to myself a couple of weeks ago, I was like, sometimes it's a real slog to just go preview after club preview when everyone just wants to talk about, well, Shorty, who do you think's bloody breakout contender and where's your side, all this stuff. So I thought I'll just filter these club previews through and see how we go. But it's taking a little bit slower than I expected. I don't know about you guys, but all of a sudden I'm like, shit, the season's not far off. I better start making leagues and sorting out draft codes and all this type of stuff. So interesting times. But the Dockers, for a side that was pretty disappointing last year and people sort of talk about as being boring, they've actually got some exciting options in terms of SuperCoach for us. As I always do, got the players along the top here, so if you want to skip ahead to one of these guys, by all means, stay tuned to the whole video. But if you want to go ahead to Fyfe or Jackson, feel free. But I reckon it's worth sticking around for Hayden Young, though. And whoa, that's interesting stuff. He's a bloke that's a former high pick, and we've been waiting around for him. I remember, what was it? I reckon I started him at the start of 2021. I thought, this bloke, he's a jet, didn't play much footy. I'm going to start him. I think he's a defender. He started well with an 88, I remember, and then it got disastrous. I thought he was going all right, and then he was injured by round 3, scored 18. But the real numbers we want to look at are the back end of the year where he did move to the midfield. Now, have a look at that. That's a sexy month to end the season. What do we want here? Centre bounce attendance. And this will be relevant for Fyfe as well. Both are getting talked about, serious midfield minutes, which we love to see. But you just feel like Young could average pretty solid numbers as a defender anyway. And when he's getting in the guts, and he might have the odd tagging role, but if we take it from round 20, scored 69, but did have a bit of the ball, but it really increased. It really increased from round 21, and so did his numbers. Sometimes you can cut and change these numbers, whichever way you would like to do, but when it's this clear cut, as soon as he had 70% or more centre bounce time, he tonned up, which he didn't do that much for the rest of the year. And the tackle numbers is the key one. Yeah, a bit more clearance, of course, to be expected, but he's a big body in there, tackles hard, beautiful left boot, and you'd think he's only going to get better the more he plays in the midfield. You got Brayshaw, you got Sarong, Fyfe may play in there. He's not going to play a whole year, though. I just wonder, could he be just a really nice third cog? And at the moment, I'm running with Dacos, Stewart and Sinclair in my defensive 3, but there's every chance I drop one of those guys, not Dacos, one of the other two, down to Young if I need to make a bit of cash. I reckon he's looking really good. He won't have to do much to convince me through the preseason because I'm a big fan of him, and I think he's found his spot. Now, Luke Jackson. Love the prospect. I'll tell you what, if Sean Darcy does a hammy, does a calf, extended injury next week, chuck him in the team. But until then, I don't know. Are we just falling for the same trick twice? Is this just not Brodie Grundy and Max Gawn all over again? Yes, Darcy's a star. Jackson's a star. And they'll average great numbers, but can they do it together? Now, I want to whip up Sean Darcy's numbers as well. And look, plain and simple, is Luke Jackson going to be a top 6 forward? Yeah, he probably is. I think that's a pretty strong chance. But will he reach his absolute max? I don't know. How much time will he have to play forward? I don't know. Sean Darcy does miss a lot of footy, so we can probably bank on a bit of that. But the numbers are so interesting, because if you look at Darcy, played pretty much all of it, had a bit of a gap between rounds 11 and 15, then missed the back end. So if we look at rounds 13 and 14, yep, couple of tons, fantastic. Darcy returns. It should be noted that they can ton up when they're both in the same team, but look out, Darcy gets injured round 18, and Jackson picks up the slack and goes absolutely nuts, including a 173. That's ridiculous. Now, in amongst that, I'm trying to... I think the numbers... I did on my TikTok. I think the numbers was... With Darcy, he averaged about 88. And without him, it was like 114. So, I just want to have a look here. I haven't actually looked at these yet. So, Sean Darcy was still the predominant guy. And Jackson would only do about a quarter of the load. And as you can see, it increased dramatically. I don't want to start him. I'll say that. I'm not interested in starting him. I'll be happy to see how it transitions and goes throughout the year. But Gawn and Grundy were going to be the most dominant ruck force you've ever seen. And they were both going to play awesome in the same team. It didn't happen. Now, Jackson's a little bit more nimble than both of those guys and can play around the footy a bit more. Below his knees, he's great. But I think he's a guy that if he's the number one ruck, we're jumping all over. But until then, it's worth just waiting and seeing, in my opinion. So I've got no doubt Darcy will miss some games. There might be a portion of the season that we can really enjoy Jackson's work. But to start him, I'm quite happy not to. But I'd be interested to hear your thoughts there. And just finally, take a look at Nat Fyfe. I'll give the TikTok a bit of a plug. I mentioned it before. The TikTok channel is rolling. I'll probably put out a bit more content because it's so easy to do. I'll just sit in my car and whip it. It's so easy to edit. I don't have to be by my laptop. So yeah, there's a bit of stuff and a bit of random stuff in amongst all of that. As you can see, Shorty's at spilt milk having the time of his life. But feel free to get around that. And yeah, so Fyfey, surely never again. That is what most people would have started this preseason thinking. We see the forward line, and we go, oh shit, Fyfe's a forward. You're half tempted. And you go, no. Don't be silly. But then you really start to think about it, and a couple of articles roll through, and he's playing midfield, and he's looking like a beast again. And you start to wonder, maybe. And then they throw 40 trades at us, and you start to go, shit, could be worth a risk. You know, all sorts of players are struggling in the forward line. We don't know who's going to break out. We don't know who's a premium. I'm telling you, if this guy plays mid, I'll argue anyone that he doesn't average at least 90. The question mark is clearly, can his body hold up? And it hasn't recently. You know, he's 32. He's played 9 and 7 games. And even before that, 15 and 14 isn't exactly Mr. Consistent. So, last year we saw him for the first time really challenged as a footballer in terms of his identity. He was made to go forward a bit. And quite frankly, it just didn't work. I think there were some games where he played a bit more mid. And he never really got running. He never really got rolling fully. There were some games, as you can see. But by and large, he was mainly mainly a forward. There was an article the other day. And I know the article, everyone's on fire. I know. Everyone's in fire in the pre-season. I understand that. But where was it? It was a bloody... Yeah. AFL.com.au. Now he's vibing. He's playing pre-season footy, and that's all we need. So he's been injured stacks, building into the pre-season with a managed workload, but the champion midfielder has shown flashes. So I wouldn't say he's absolutely flying through the pre-season, but he's not injured at the moment. Now, it's always a risk versus reward. I think if Nat Fyfe plays the practice games, he's had an uninterrupted pre-season. They've worked him into it. They've eased him into it. Don't get me wrong. But if he's in that first centre bounce in a pracky game consistently, and he's fit, and he's less than 300k, and he's a forward, where we can't find a bloody good forward to save our lives, bloody oath I'll start him. Yeah, he might only play 8 games, but let's just roll the dice and hope it's the first 8. He'll make a lot of money. Of course, he could do an Elliot Yeo on us and be done after 3 or 4 weeks. But if we were sitting here with 28 trades or 30 trades, like I wish we were, I'd probably say the risk outweighs the reward. But if you're going to throw 40 trades at me, fucking hell, I'll roll those dice any day of the week. So it'd be really interesting to see how he goes. Is it just a bit of pre-season smoke? Yeah, Fyfe is back. He's playing midfield, and then it gets to it, and he gets sprinkles of the midfield, but he's a bit forward, he's a bit mid. I'll be interested to see, but he's certainly not going to shine as a forward. And the Dockers didn't. I think last year the Dockers felt, yeah, we're going all right. This next gen midfield, we can just go with Sarong and Brayshaw, and we'll just make the 8 and continue to go on our merry way. Let's just play Fyfe forward. Now maybe they're realising, shit, maybe not as good as we thought. We really need Fyfe in there. So it'll be very interesting to see. But I'll be watching him super close. Would love to hear your thoughts. I think Jeremy Sharp is a youngster coming over from Gold Coast who is 123k. Could also be considered. But yeah, if I've missed anyone, let me know. But yeah, definitely would love to know how many of these Dockers you're starting in your side. And yeah, we'll look to have a bit of video coming up. Maybe another preview, maybe not. I'll have to get thinking on that one. But if you got any video ideas, please hit me up. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.